What's up, everybody? How you doing? Welcome back to the Punk Rock Review Podcast. I figured out what happened a minute ago, dude. It was that Celsius that had me all jittery and shit. I hit the wrong button. What's up, everybody? How you doing, man? We're hanging out. It's been a little while. Me and Eddie are back. Rob and I are trying to figure out when we're going to do our next video. So it's back to the stuff I enjoy doing, man. Talking with my friends about punk rock music. So this episode is going to be kind of a somber topic, man. Colin Jerwood of Conflict passed away recently, and they just dropped a new album. I don't know that he was involved with it. I don't actually know. I know that they had two singers on the album, and I can't remember who the singers were, but nonetheless, he was the OG, and that had to hit that family hard, that band, that community. Yeah, I didn't even think to look about who did the vocals on the newest album. My apologies for that.
No, he must be on that.
You think so?
Yeah.
So
Sure, it's him.
well, we're paying tribute to him. So this, and to be clear, this was a last minute subject change. So forgive us for our lack of, some of the details of this conversation. When this happened, I hit an idiot up and was like, "Hey, I know it's like tomorrow, but you want to switch it up from these albums that we've been talking about for 2 weeks to this one?" And he was like, "Let's do it." So we're hanging out talking about Conflict tonight. We're going to cover the ungovernable, good grief, Force.
Yeah.
From what, like 86, I think it is. And then
6, yep.
This Much Remains, which literally dropped like about a month ago from now, May 2025.
5 album, though. Let's go.
So rad, man. So condolences to his friends and family. I think it's just
rest in power.
I've lost a lot of friends and family. I know how you're feeling, and I'm so sorry. So, yeah, let's talk about Conflict, though, because this band, okay, so when I think of Conflict, I think of bands like Crass, right? And that's a band that I've historically not really been into. Speaking of Crass, not Conflict, I have a Conflict patch on my shorts. Like, I like this band a lot.
Yeah.
Now, I wouldn't call myself like a super fan. I never got to see them play, but I enjoyed them enough to know their album names, be able to reference them a little bit in conversation.
Yeah.
And I was excited to listen to this because it had been a while. The UK anarcho stuff is a little tough for me because a lot of times the production is poor, and I'm just kind of a stickler for that stuff. I like a little more polished sound. I mean, I'm a big poser. We know this. So, but, I think that the Ungovernable Force, is that their first record?
No.
Okay.
Yeah.
Mid 80s, huh?
Mid-80s. So they started in 81. Conflict is a band I don't.
Oh, they were around in 81, huh?
Yeah, they were around in 81, and then they I think their first record might have been 83.
Okay.
And it was put out on Crass's record label.
Okay, that actually makes sense.
Yeah, so they were buddies. They were that family, the whole.
They have a lot of similarities in sound. I mean, the biggest difference is in their production, in my opinion.
Yeah, and it's a little less artsy than maybe Crass.
Well, I think that where Crass goes into a more artful direction, I think Conflict goes into more of a metal and prog direction.
Yeah, it's a little like hardcore. It's like early hardcore, kind of metallic.
I think it sounds just straight up like metal, honestly. At points, yes.
Interesting.
Specifically, the second half of Ungovernable Force. That album gets really metal and very proggy.
Interesting.
Yeah. So here, I'll read a couple things that I wrote down because this was a last minute change. So I'm not as prepared as I'd like to be. But so if you're listening to this and I make some kind of mistake, just understand that I'm doing the best I can with the information that I've got. I'm not trying to be disrespectful to anybody.
We're just posers, guys.
I mean, I'm definitely going to get called a poser. I don't really give a shit. It is what it is.
You're going to educate us in the comments.
Man, dude, these people, shit. I love the fact that motherfuckers think I care when they try to act more punk than me. Like, I don't give a shit, man. Go make your own videos if that's what you want to do. So the album Ungovernable Force, I can barely say that, man. It came out in 86. It was 22 tracks and 32 minutes, man. It hit number 2 in the UK independent album charts. I think that's incredible.
Yeah.
Dude, doing this channel, I've learned that a lot of the UK punk hit the charts, bro. Like, this stuff was popular out there, man. Big time.
I think punk was arguably bigger in the UK than
I think so. I think so for sure.
it really, really hit a lot. I mean, particularly what was going on there politically and socially during that time. Not to say that we didn't face those same issues in the States, but in a country that's small, I think it spread like wildfire.
Isn't that wild, dude? It's awesome, man. But
and it just kind of happened out there, you know, a little bit more. So
right. Well, this album is considered by many, okay, in our punk rock community, especially over there, Conflict's most coherent and complete representation of their politics and their aesthetic. It has become an enduring classic in anarchist punk rock music culture. Yeah, dude, it's one of the best punk records ever, I think, man. I had forgotten, dude, I'll be honest, man, it had probably been 5 years since I've listened to this. It's been a long time, dude.
It's
like, I think before Parker, like big, long time.
Yeah. You got notes on it?
I got a couple. Yeah, I was trying to not talk over you. I'm sorry.
Yeah, man.
I think it's been established that I don't like intros and outros on this channel. 3-minute ones, dude. What are we doing, man? Intro, bro. I had forgotten all about that, and I'm listening to it, and
I thought about that when I was
dude.
Oh, Randall's gonna love this.
But I'll say this: it just means that I'll need this on CD and not vinyl. That's fine. I love CDs, and I was thinking about it. I don't know that I've ever owned this on vinyl. I'm pretty sure I had it on CD when I was a kid. Back then, vinyl was harder to get because it wasn't as popular. So it was, you know, I didn't have a record player until I was like damn near out of high school. That song Crass, CRASS, bro, amazing song. I was so irritated that it was that song that really popped out to me at first because of how much I have disliked Crass. But I'll say this, dude, not as a fan of the band at all. That song was directly inspired by the band. Obviously, they were friends. But, you know, what does it mean that I don't like Crass? Absolutely nothing. I will say this, though. I like what I like. That is okay. This song, this album, honestly, kind of makes me want to go revisit Crass, if I'm honest, dude, which is really frustrating. But if I've learned anything in the past 2 years, it is that if something changes, in my opinion, I can't let it bother me. It happens way too often.
Yeah, there's nothing wrong with that. Nothing wrong with changing your opinion about things.
Yeah, I mean, I was listening to Turnstile today, and I was like, fuck, this shit is awesome.
Really?
No, not at all.
Fucker.
I almost said Husker Du. I was like, no, I kind of want to listen to that again. After meeting Bob Mould, dude, he was like, look, it was like a very short conversation. Yeah. But he was so fucking nice and polite that I was like, I gotta go listen to this dude's music again. So, you know, round 2 incoming, dude.
He's a cool dude. Is that what you got on this album so far?
I got a little bit more, but go ahead, man. What are you thinking?
Oh, you finish your thought first.
Okay, so the album very much flows. It flows a lot, dude. Songs run into each other. It's one cohesive piece of artwork with a specific message. And what really bothers me is that the message is still so relevant. The album is so relevant. It sounds like it was made this year. And I'm listening to it and I'm going, oh my God, it sucks that this album is still so important. I'm glad we've got it, but it's so frustrating that we haven't changed as a people, as a species in 40 years. We can't change it all. We can't get any better, guys. Come on, man. And I don't want to get preachy, dude. It just bothered me, man. It really bothered me a lot.
For sure.
I think when I first discovered Crass, that I was seeing their imagery and I was expecting a band much more in line with Conflict than Crass. And, you know, you do that with a lot of bands, a lot of albums. You know, a lot of albums that I have an issue with. I see the artwork, I see the band name, and I think it's going to sound like something. And then I get it, and it's not that. And I think my biggest problem with Crass was their production. And this album, this band, is basically like my response to Crass would be like, oh, no, I'll listen to this. And I think this will open doors. If you don't like bands like Crass because of the production, and I'm sorry I keep bringing them up, but especially knowing that they were pals like that, you know, it kind of goes with the conversation. But if you don't like that music because of this, because my issue's never been the songwriting or the lyrics or anything. It's always been some of the vocals, but the production. Listen to this, and I think that'll open some doors for you. The song "Force or Service" is a very catchy tune. That song "Crash," by the way, the bass line, bonkers, dude. It's so catchy, man. It's interesting when you hear "Force or Service," though. It's really catchy. It kind of surprises you when you're jamming out this album because the whole album is a little gritty. Dark isn't really the word I want to use, but it kind of is. There's a lot of anger in this record. And then all of a sudden you get this like really poppy sing-along song kind of out of nowhere. It really, like, I was listening to the album kind of with my head back, and it made me sit up, and I was like, which one is this? Like, that's probably my favorite song on the whole album. And then I wrote down about halfway through the album, it starts to show a heavy influence of metal and prog rock, specifically with all the versions of This Is the Alf. It evolves from just being a straightforward punk rock record. Honestly, it's making me want to revisit Crass, like I said. Though I'm skeptical it will change my mind a whole lot. It does make me want to go revisit that band for whatever reason.
Yeah.
There's a fair bit of instrumental stuff on the album, which I don't really care much for. I think that's my issue with intros and outros, is that they're mostly instrumental.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm a lyric-driven music fan. I need to hear lyrics. I need to hear vocals. That's what I like about music most of the time. But yeah, the album I thought was, I hadn't heard it in so long, dude. I mean, honestly, it's probably been 5 years or more since I've even listened to Conflict in this much, with this much time invested in one sitting.
Right. Well, I didn't really even know about Conflict until recently. I mean, there were always been on my radar. Like, obviously, how do you not know about a classic UK anarcho-punk band from the 80s, right? This was, I think, they were just a band that I wasn't too familiar with, but like, this obviously is an extremely important band. You know what I mean? In terms of, you talk about bands that like shape worldviews and are highly influential for people. Like, this is one of those bands that found when they were like 14 years old, and the lyrics changed their lives, and it kind of radicalized them, or kind of formed their views on the world. And this is one of those albums, and I really, really enjoyed this record. I've never heard it before, and I was
nice. Hell yeah.
Listen to it, and I'm like, I could appreciate. I know that you're not big on the intros and outros, but everything was put together very intentionally on the record.
I do agree with that.
Even the intro, when it's like, no war, like nuclear war, and then like the people screaming, and then all that kind of stuff, they're setting the stage for you in a lot of ways, right? It's kind of they're painting.
True.
So, I sat through it because I wanted to give the album its fair shake. I wanted to listen to it in its entirety and really absorb it. I did, and then like, once I was on the ride, I was like on the third, fourth song, I'm like, okay, this is cool. Like, I'm really enjoying where this is going. Like, it's got the vocals and the lyrics are venom, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like, it's just everything he's saying every line has so much meaning and like urgency and intensity. It really embodies the spirit of hardcore punk rock in its like truest form and purest form. So, I mean, this album, I think, probably is like top 5 UK punk records, right? I mean, it has to be. I mean, you're comparing it to like the Clash and like the Sex Pistols and things like that. It's different. It comes from a different place. Similar, maybe like how do I say this? Similar like views on like politics and maybe like what's going on in the country at the time, but they're coming at it from a completely different perspective. It's like the Clash wasn't talking about animal rights a lot, right? This band is like really like animal rights heavy. I don't know if you've noticed.
They were very extreme with their views. Like,
yeah.
Well, I don't know if I'd put it in top 5, maybe top 20.
Sure.
Definitely top 20, maybe top 10 is what I'll say. I'll say maybe definitely top 20, maybe top 10. Because it's really, really, I mean, it really is really a fantastic record. And to be very clear, I didn't skip any of the instrumentals. I didn't skip any of the outros or intros. I listened to it because it is one cohesive piece of artwork. And I think that's important to do when you're doing a review, to not skip any of it. Now, if I have a negative comment, that's fine. I got to listen to it anyways.
Sure.
And I don't think I've said anything outright negative about it. I just typically don't care for intros and outros.
Totally.
This is the kind of record that was made for kids that want to sit down at a young age, discover themselves, find out what they care about and who they want to fight for and with, and they dig into the lyric books. It's I have a little label for anybody that doesn't know this, right? What drives me absolutely insane is when people are like, I'm like, hey man, can you get me the lyric booklet and give me a thank you list? And they don't want to do it. Oh, shit's stupid. We don't do that anymore. Fuck you, you don't. People need to know who you care about. That is your thank you list and your bands. That's how people discovered bands in the 90s. I want to keep that alive.
Totally.
But the lyrics are so important with this genre of music. Dude, even a Pennywise album, as poppy and polished as it might sound, has a song called Fuck Authority. Go listen to those words. Those words would fit just fine in an album like this. Maybe they're not quite as like angry, but they're very similar, man. It's a very similar train of thought and mind frame. This band was, I'll say this. This is one thing that punk rock, we get called hippies sometimes. Oh, leftist hippie types, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
Hippies were all about peace and love and like nonviolent resistance. I think that's the major difference between like real punk rockers and like hippie culture, is that we're not trying to sit still, dude. Like,
Yeah.
I'm not about going and destroying somebody's private property for any reason. But if you want to go disrupt the government, let's go. If you want to go disrupt some things, I mean, that's the name of the game, dude, is standing up and taking care of yourself, taking care of your people,
Right.
and, you know, consequences be damned. Like, you know, these guys were doing that. And they were spreading a message that was incredibly important back in the 80s. And I fucking hate that it's so relevant now, but it is.
I mean, yeah. And I think
animal rights are important, by the way. I don't want to gloss over that. Like,
yeah, I mean, you know,
I'm a big animal person. I love it, but I'm not a vegan or a vegetarian or anything.
As someone that has been vegan in the past and has been vegetarian in the past and currently eats meat for like my own health reasons and stuff. I mean, I definitely, this is a complete segue. You know, I'm against factory farming. It's fucked up. I think the industry's fucked up. Like, you know, but I eat animal products because it sustains me in a way that's good for my health, you know. So,
dude, you can eat animal products and still be kind to animals. It's not hard. Well, it might be a little difficult, but it's not like impossible.
I mean, not according to a band like Conflict, but like, you know, again, it's a choice.
That's the beauty of punk, though, is that we can have different viewpoints on this stuff and still band together for a common cause.
Right. But that kind of segues into my point about this band. They're a very hardlined, militant band in what they believe and kind of preach, right? So they think that there is the only way to do certain things. Now, whether or not that extremism resonates with certain people is a different story, right? Like, certain people are more prone to extremism. Look at Earth Crisis.
Well, I mean, extremism, I think from a punk rock standard, it's incredibly hypocritical, because when you start talking about extremism and you must do this, who does that sound an awful lot like to you?
I understand.
So, but I don't subscribe to the whole hardline shit. Like, I do me, you do you. As long as you're kind, and kindness is not, again, hard to accomplish. You can wake up every day. It's your decision if you're going to be kind to people or not.
Right.
So that's where you know, if you know what I've always thought, again, segue about the animal stuff. Like, I've always wished that I had the means and a way to go hunt and learn how to hunt and live off of one animal for a long period of time. Okay. Use their hide, maybe do something with the bones, like use the entire animal. It would make me like really upset to shoot an animal, right? Oh, well, if you're going to eat that animal, you should do it in a way that the animal gets to live its life until you are able to take that life to feed your family, right? I mean,
to me, that's the most respectful way to
100%
to consume the animal.
Well, when we get a bigger place, we're already starting off with like, we're going to get chickens and have our own eggs and things like that. Like, my wife and I have got plans that, you know, it's nobody's business, but like, I want to head that direction. You know what I'm saying? I want to teach my kids how to do that stuff. It's important, man. Fishing, it's hard to do, man, hurting those animals, but it's like, okay, well, you're going to fucking eat it. So what? You can't bring yourself to do, you know, go hunt, but you can go eat a burger like that. I just feel like that's cowardly.
Right. I mean, to me, I would rather live. That was a pun. Cowardly. To me, I mean, major segue, and we'll go back to the band.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's in the lyrics. This is what we're talking about. The band.
I mean, it's like, but this is bands like this is why people become lifelong vegans. Bands like this is why, because people make certain choices in life to do certain things, right? It's the impetus. They're not telling you do this or fuck you. They're expressing their beliefs through their art,
right?
And then it's up to you to gravitate to it or not. That's the beauty. And with rock, that's the way this shit goes, man. Right? I mean, it's like the music by and large says something, and it's the bands that we listen to are voicing worldviews or like, you know, what they believe in, you know what I mean? And that's the cool thing about this particular genre of music, is because in a lot of ways it's spoken very unapologetically, and it's from a very honest place and perspective. So people make their choices and they go different directions and stuff like that. So, you know, I mean, for that reason, I think this band was very important, because but even at that time, I mean, like, you got to think about the mid 80s. Punk rock in the UK was kind of going through a lull,
right?
Because Sex Pistols got major label backing, and it was becoming mainstream kind of top 40 stuff, and this was a direct response to that. This is like, wait a second, no, motherfuckers, like, we got something to say. This is more important than the money and the industry and all this shit. So it's like, this is not the kind of band that was going to be fucking signed. You know what I mean? This was not the kind of band that was going to, like, you know, go that route. So
to be fair, the Clash were signed to a major label and they were doing a lot to help.
Yeah.
They were very political.
They were. Yeah. I completely agree with you.
So, I mean, there's different tiers to everything. I imagine that they would probably say that the Clash were their, you know, allies.
I think it was the approach too. It's the approach and the aesthetic. The Clash were far more accessible than a band like.
Well, you get to conflict through the Clash, in my opinion.
Yeah. That's like kind of like
as a youngster in the 80s, yeah.
Right. You know, like Sex Pistols, Clash, conflict, or whatever.
Yeah, no, I mean, but we need that. You can't go straight to conflict in 1986 if you're a fucking 14-year-old kid. It would be really difficult. Not many people did, is my point.
Right. But I mean, during that time in the UK, there's an undercurrent of a lot of anarcho crust bands. You know, D-Beat was coming up. There's bands like, you know, like Amoebics, Icons of Filth, Discharge, of course.
Hell yeah.
A Flux of Pink Indians, Crass, this band. So there was this whole like subsect of like bands that were anti-war, like pro-animal rights, like anti-corporation, anti-colonialism, anti-fascism, super anarchist, that, you know, that pervaded the like UK like subculture a lot, very, very, very intensely and deeply. And in a lot of ways reinvigorated the punk scene in the United Kingdom and movement, you know, and because that's where this shit happens, is underground. It happens underground, and it kept going underground, and it was like self-sustaining. There was no major label backing, and they were doing it themselves. And I think that's what kept it moving. And bands like Conflict were instrumental in making it happen.
Well,
keep going, you know,
they were screaming for a change, man. They were making sure that their voices were heard. And the thing is that there's got to be a sweet spot where you have enough money to keep doing what you're doing so that you can bring the message to the people. Because a lot of people, especially within like crust punk and D-Beat type, you know, communities, they're really into like, no, shitty recordings, like as cheap as you can. Like I don't mean that like as in like a style necessarily, but like as cheap as they can go. No help from nobody. We do free shows. We only do charity work. And it's like, yo, I appreciate that. That doesn't accomplish much, though. It only does things in your... Well, I guess that could be for a reason, though. Maybe you want to stay in your own little tiny community, right? But there's a lot of people out there that could use your help. There's a lot of people that you could help. There's a lot of people that maybe want to hear your message. Because, I mean, you know, out of the millions of people in your country or your continent or wherever you're at, there's bound to be people that would love it if they heard it and would want to be part of it if they heard it. And so there's got to be a sweet spot, is my point. I'm not saying anybody did anything wrong. I'm just saying there's like a sweet spot where you could be like, you know, 50% conflict, 50% clash. Boom, you get like this perfect little spot where you go, okay, we got enough money to keep going. We're not rich and crazy or anything, and we've got enough label backing to go out here and make a point and send a message. I don't know. I love this shit, dude. This band, I hadn't heard this in so long, dude.
Yeah. I don't think this band had any interest in making money at all.
Maybe. I don't know. I don't know though.
They gave everything away, you know, and you know, like there was
gave what away?
Huh?
Gave what away?
Anything they made, like any money they made, or it all went to like charities.
I don't know anything about that. Did they?
Yeah. So by the way, there's a story that I saw. There was this there was a Steve Ignorant of Crass was actually in Conflict, by the way.
Yeah, I knew that.
Right, so it's like he joined the band in like maybe '86, so he's on this album in Ungovernable Force. It's like 3 vocalists on this record, like people that just fucking do vocals, 3 people, and you know, a couple
That's
of
crazy
musicians, you know. But there was this thing called the Gathering of like the 5,000 somewhere in the UK, and it was supposed to be a punk show with like vendors and like, you know, people like the UK's equivalent to like Food Not Bombs was supposed to be there. There's supposed to be vegetarian, vegan food people like stalls, and there's supposed to be like just a different representation, you know, like happening at this event. And it was Conflict and some other bands playing there. I can't recall all the specifics and details, but essentially a riot broke out that night.
Oh wow, that does actually surprise me.
Yeah, and the show was shut down, and a bunch of cops got hurt, and a bunch of people got hurt and arrested. So, you know, it was just on some real punk shit, you know. But this is the kind of stuff that like was the impetus or the catalyst for the like hardcore punk, you know, thing to happen, or movement, you know. Like, well, what's punk without like action and fucking, you know, like resistance, you know, to like.
Well, that's, I mean, that's another reason that this album is so important, because look at the conversation that it brought. We wouldn't have talked about this stuff necessarily. We would have been talking about punk rock bowling and what are we doing this week and how's your life going and blah blah.
Yeah.
You know, I'm talking about wanting to like feed my family with a one animal that we, you know, take and it feeds us. I think that's important. And like, I think I might actually do a video on this Gathering of the 5,000, because I'm reading up on it. I'm not really reading. I'm just glancing at something.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
There's a big ass article on that. That I would like to.
It was apparently a very, very big documented event that like changed a lot of stuff, and you know, was brought to like attention.
Where are you hearing that they gave everything away? I want to know more about this. I don't know that I've ever heard that before. And I'm not an authority on this band, and I'm not an expert, but I've been a fan of them for a long time. And I've never heard of anything like that. Doesn't mean anything. It just means I haven't heard of it. So I mean, is that actually real? They just gave away all their proceeds or something?
I think the majority of what they've earned, they've given to different.
No shit. Yeah. Good for them, man. Because like I said, I did this charitable thing this past weekend, and I didn't do a ton, but I did offer some of my. Do what?
Well, they're living true to what they believe in. You know,
right?
What I mean?
Yeah, but like,
bands, like
what they believe in, like giving everything away. I've read their lyrics, but I didn't necessarily get that out of it.
I think I need to look more into it, but they were very much anarchists. So I don't think that they necessarily believed in like the accumulation and the amassment of capital for them to like eat off of their music necessarily, you know. I don't know.
So instead of that, they went to some fucking job to eat? Like, that doesn't make any sense to me.
Maybe they did. Maybe they had day jobs and stuff. I mean, this band's had like a lot.
No, I don't doubt that they had day jobs, but I don't think that they were getting money from their band and just giving it away. I'm just saying, like, I hate when we start rumor stuff. Like, I don't know. I've never heard of that. I know a fair bit of people.
I could be very wrong about that, but I know that the Gathering of the 5,000 thing.
That I'm incredibly interested in. I'm very interested in hearing about that.
Right, but they eventually got paid from some albums, and then the proceeds that they had made from those albums, they gave to the vendors that.
No, I don't doubt that at all. I don't doubt that they've done some charitable work at all. That wasn't my point. Just to be very clear to anybody, I just don't. And I think that the band would probably agree with this. I don't like putting people on pedestals that they didn't earn, and I don't think pedestals are that good for you, anyways. I just never heard that, and it shocked me, because I mean, I'm like, golly, dude, like, they probably have families at this point. They probably got, I don't know. I feel like a lot of people say a lot of things and then don't actually do what they say they're doing. And I'm not speaking about you or Conflict, to be honest. I'm just talking about in general. I know a lot of people that subscribe to like anarchism and stuff of that nature, and I don't know, man. It always has come off a lot of this, you know.
Sure.
So,
I could be off base with this, but I was more.
I came at it wrong. I should have come at it with that question. I should have asked, like, what did they do? Because that's actually what I'm interested in. It's like, oh, well, what did they do then? So my apologies to anybody who thinks I was being
I would need
snarky.
to actually learn more about this band to actually figure out.
You watch, dude. In like the next few months, I'm gonna have like a whole ass video essay on this band because I'm so interested in this. Genuinely.
They're pretty interesting, right? I mean, there's a lot to unearth with these guys and kind of what they did and their importance and just in general.
This was my link to like UK. What back when I was a kid, what I considered like UK street punk stuff was bands like Conflict and Discharge. So like, you know, being like, I have a hard time learning anything about American bands. Imagine the lack of knowledge when it comes to UK stuff. I don't have a lot of knowledge on it. As a matter of fact, I was telling Colin of Cox Bar exactly that. I'm coming at it from the backwards. I'm like trying to go learn as much as I can about these bands and this music, because it's helped me in my life so much. Now, the way it's helped me, it wasn't financially, it helped me mentally and emotionally.
Yeah.
But it did help me, and that matters. And, you know, this music is important for a number of reasons. Getting out there, starting some dialogue, you know, being like the ignition to some change is incredibly important.
Yeah.
And
yeah,
I think that, and I think that punk rock has a lot of work to do still. But I don't know of a community anywhere on this planet that is open to the idea of, hey, we got to still do some work. All right. And also, oh, you're down there. Here's my hand. Let me help you up. I don't know any other community. And I've been a part of a few, and I've seen a lot of different communities. And I've never seen the amount of like, what's it called? Camaraderie that I have within punk rock. Because like, nothing's perfect. I've seen a bunch of dumb idiots do dumb idiot stuff too.
Yeah.
But man, I was watching at the Houston Punk Fest. There was a little pit broken out in one of these shows, right? You know, it was a small place. A few hundred people were there. It was actually quite awesome. And there was these like normie folks hanging out because it was also at a brewery. So there's people that were just hanging out there and they saw, oh, big punk rock charity thing. Like, what is it? Oh, it's only $15 to get in. Oh, all that money is going to charity. Here you go. They were just coming in. It was awesome, dude. But they were like bewildered by our behavior, you know, a bunch of mohawks and smelly kids screaming into microphones. And I remember watching this lady. I'm like filming, I think it was Valhalla. It might have been the Hates. Whatever. I was filming a band. And I keep watching this lady. Honestly, I was watching her to make sure she didn't get run over because she was like 5'2". And she's like watching these guys circle pit. And it's her and these two young people that I assume are her kids. And people were falling. And what do we do when people fall in the pit? We pick them the fuck back up. And I could watch them. They would see somebody fall down and you'd see them go, and then you see them kind of go, and motherfuckers just stop what they're doing and help them back up. And I watched a girl fall down and eat shit, get picked back up. I watched a dude fall down and eat shit, get picked back up. And it was awesome because I know that we were making a positive impact on them. Now, these are probably like MAGA types. Good. Come to our shows, watch how we behave. Maybe it'll help. You know what I'm saying? That's the kind of shit that punk rock does.
I low-key wish that there was like some hardcore dancing there when they were there. Like the crowd killing shit, you know?
Oh my God.
That's just
not me.
I know, but it's just that's like, you know.
I was proud of our community for just like being what I know we are in front of some strangers that aren't part of our community, because, you know, people look at people like me and they're like, oh, heavily tattooed, you know, talks about this music all the time, wears shirts that have these images, and he's trouble. But then when you come into my record store and you talk to me for 5 minutes, it's real easy to understand that, no, dude, I am very proud of the fact that I'm in a community that's better than average. We are a better community.
Yeah.
And I'm proud of that, man. And then records like this help us talk, and it helps us have conversations that are important.
I think so.
It changes your mind on things, man. It makes people aware of things they weren't aware of. I mean, look at this, dude. I'm about to go do some research on this band. I should have done this shit 25 years ago.
Yeah.
But I'm still gonna go do it. And what the extent of my knowledge of Conflict was like, I think 2 of their albums and a couple of my patches that I've got.
Right.
I just liked their music, and I listened to their stuff, and I read some of their lyrics, and I was like, I could get behind this.
Right. And without Conflict, you wouldn't have bands like A Global Threat. You know what I'm saying?
100%. And that's one of my favorite bands.
See that chain of events leading to that band existing, right? So yeah, it's cool to just kind of go back in time from you know, current bands and just go down the rabbit hole to see what influenced what to become what it is today.
Well, but back when this album came out, you know, there was no internet or anything, so they were doing stuff. They were really doing stuff for their home. They were really out in the UK, out there fucking shit up for the UK. Just like bands like A Global Threat and the Casualties and the Unseen were starting a bunch of shit in the US. Like, no, we're gonna, even if it was drunk punk shit, it was like, yo, we're gonna do what we want and we're not gonna let you affect us. Because even when it comes down to just like ignorant ass behavior, it still stands for something. It's anti-authoritarianism. It's like, no, you're not gonna just rule over me and tell me what to do.
I think yeah, that's right. I think that's right. I think that's the one thing about punk rock music, and to some degree, like even a lot of rap music at some point.
I've thought about that. Yeah,
there's a lot of parallels between the two genres.
A lot.
Stylistically, but they both stand for very specific things. They're saying very specific things, and it's a community of people that are involved. But
like that's how. Sorry. That's how the Ramones are considered punk to me, is because, yes, they just stood up on a stage and said, we don't like where you guys are headed with the music. We want to play music our way. Well, you can't. You have to play this slowed down, surfy rock music. Nope, we're going to plug our shit in. We're going to distort our amplifiers. We're going to play so fucking fast. You know what I'm saying? And like people like, well, Johnny Ramone was at this. Bro, people can be who they want. It's about actions. They still changed the shape of music for us. They changed the direction that my life was going to go.
Totally.
It gets me all riled up, dude. Like, I love this music, man. we need this stuff sometimes. It's like a shot of energy in our system, man. Like, here, you need to go out and do something.
No, I mean, honestly, like this band made me think about my relationship with meat again. It's not every day someone's in my ear telling me like,
pause.
Like about how fucked up the animal industry is, which it is. Fuck, it is.
Yeah.
Like the factory farms are fucked up the way they treat animals. But you know what? I mean, I'm not gonna stop eating. I had chicken tonight for dinner.
Dude, look, man, being cognizant of what's going on and trying to make some better decisions is much better and more honest and real than going, I'm never gonna do this again when you know damn well you are. Yeah, just be honest about it. Like, one of the things that my wife and I do is we try to get the
awareness,
not the free range chicken, but the one where they're not housed. It's called something else. Maybe it is free range. It's the ones where they're not
cage free.
Is it cage free? It's real expensive, whatever that is. Because from my understanding, the chickens are allowed to just be themselves until they're taken in for meat,
and then bam.
Yes, but during their life, they're not stacked on top of each other and they're given like real food. And I'm like, okay,
whatever. Yeah, I get that.
Yeah, and I still eat fast food occasionally, but when I'm shopping at the grocery store, I try to make more conscious decisions. It's not always easy. I don't always do it, but one decision is better than none decision. My daughters and my kids, we always talk about you don't ever lose, you learn, and one is better than none on everything. One decision better is better than none. So if you go to the store and you buy 50 things and 2 of those are better for the environment, next time you might buy 3. And before you know it, half your cart will be better for the environment. We don't use dryer sheets in our house. Like all my boxes that I get from my record label, they're all from either recycled materials or recycled boxes.
Nice.
So like there's little things that we do. Like I got a lot of work to go before I would consider myself like working for the world, you know what I'm saying? Like not the worldly people, but like the actual earth. You know, it's tough, man. Living life is hard, and you got to be reminded of stuff sometimes. You have to listen to incredibly angry music, and you have to like pay attention to the surroundings, dude. I can't believe people that like stick their head in the sand all day and don't know what's going on around them, and they don't know what's happening in their communities. They don't know what's happening in the world. They didn't know there was a war in, Russia or oh my God, Ukraine right now. They didn't. I've talked to people like in the last 6 months that were like, "There's a war in Ukraine." I'm like, "How do you not know this?"
They don't fucking pay attention to shit.
So
I wanted to say one more thing about the production on this record.
It's actually pretty good, I thought.
Good. I mean, like, and I think a lot of the production at this time on these punk records was done intentionally.
I think Crass's music was very much intentional.
Yeah,
the way it sounded.
But like these guys can play. Like you hear these guys playing their instruments. You're like, they can fucking play. Like the guitar player is shredding, like mad riffs. The bassist is on point. The guy drumming is doing a great job. There's no like shortage of musical talent or ability in this band,
which I think is great. That says that there's purpose behind what they're doing, like you're saying.
No, For sure. But I mean, you know, with like a major label budget, I don't think the same effect would have been accomplished with this kind of music. It's like its rawness has to be captured.
Wait, okay, sorry. What was your statement?
I think that with this kind of music, like hardcore punk or like UK 82 stuff, a lot of the time, I think that if it was really polished and like well recorded,
Oh, okay, I misunderstood something.
It wouldn't have the same effect. It wouldn't hit the same.
You know what? That's a good point, man. I don't really think of stuff from that angle very often because that's just not how I digest music. But with bands like Crass, do what?
Anyway, so it's like that's
well, me and you. That's where we kind of differ. Is that I can appreciate some lo-fi stuff, but I'm really picky with it. Whereas I feel like that might be your, you know,
I prefer that.
Yeah, and that's cool, man. I will be listening to some Crass here in the near future, just to like dip my toe back in and see if the water feels good. Let's quickly talk about their latest album, This Much Remains. Dude, 20 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
It's been like I think over 20 years since they released an album.
Was it? No. They put out in 2024, I think.
Did they really?
Yeah.
Shut the fuck up. I thought it was.
I was looking at their.
Well, never mind then. 2 years ago. No, I'm playing. I really thought that was their first album in like decades, bro.
No, man. They had There's No Power Without Control. I'm sorry. I stand corrected. There's No Power Without Control came out in July 2003.
So it was 20 years. Okay.
You're right.
Isn't that crazy though? So okay. Here's the thing. Let me preface this with just their new album. It just came out. I've literally only listened to it like 1.25 times. I listened to all of it at once, and then I tried to listen to it a second time and didn't get all the way through it.
Yeah.
So please understand that I don't have a lot of experience with this record. This won't be a long conversation, but I think it was amazing that if you listen to those two albums that I picked out, it was so random that you have the secret track off of Ungovernable Force is the same sound bites as the first song. It's called The Impossible Soul off of This Much Remains. It's pretty cool that when you hear it for the first time, I hadn't heard Ungovernable Force in a very long time. So I listened to it, and then I immediately went into this album. And it was really incredible how these albums, even after 40 years, they feel so connected. And I just thought, man, there was a reason I'm listening to these today. And I don't want to get all weird, but I don't believe in coincidences. Like I said earlier, man, I think I was supposed to listen to these. Dude, the riffs are still here. The lyrics are still here. The dual vocals with the lady, maybe they're not doing it for me really. Maybe it's because I just dropped that leftover crack set and it was so disastrous and it was so.
Dude, can we talk about that for a second?
In just a minute. Like it was so disastrous that maybe I'm still feeling a little something from that, and I just was connecting the two. Let's talk about this for just a minute, and then we will talk about that if you'd like to.
I'm sorry.
No, it's all right, dude. But the main riff and the collusion exclusion, it's fucking awesome. I think that might be my favorite song on the album. It sounds like an old 60s guitar riff, honestly. It's the lyrics of this album are incredibly relevant. Yeah, again, I don't have a lot of experience with it, but it's got like a slightly updated production value. But it's not overproduced. It's not polished. It's just like they had some equipment that they would have had they had the equipment that they have now back then. It would sound the same probably. It's not polished. It's just they're using today's technology that's available.
Yeah,
and I liked it, man. I think I'll get over the vocal thing. Anybody that's out there listening to this, again, not a lot of experience with this record. Who was the vocalist on this? I know it was a lady and then a dude. Was it Colin? It didn't sound like him to me.
I mean, dude.
I mean, it's a 40-year difference. I'm not saying it. I'm just saying.
It's a lot of time has passed.
That's what I mean. I mean, like, I wouldn't be shocked, but it just didn't sound like him to me.
What can I say about this album? I enjoyed it. It was hard for me to get into it first because like spoken word slam poetry a lot of the time.
Yeah, it was. Yeah.
Like, there was this whole like I was like, why is he doing this? Like, why does it sound like he's like at a fucking open mic over punk like background music?
Well, I mean, that's a lot of that anarcho stuff has that feel.
No, I know. But then later, I'm like, and then I was just like, I'm gonna go with it. You know what I mean? I was like, obviously, this is what it is. I'm not gonna. And I enjoyed it. I like the album a lot. You know, I think the musicianship is like super good. Like they're like it's killer. Like I like the riffs. I like the guitar parts. I like the way the guy's drumming and all that shit. And Yeah, the dual vocals. I mean, it's cool. It's different. It definitely added a different kind of element to it. I liked some of her songs. I think Mother's Milk, is that what it's called?
Which one was it?
Mother's Milk, Milk of the Mother. I can't remember the name of the song anymore. But
I mean, I like the dual vocals. Okay, I just need to get over it. I need to disconnect it from the terrible experience I had in Vegas. But like, I think that this choice of changing into these albums is so just fortunate because it reignited my desire to listen to this band. I got stuck in a rut in the last few years where all I want to hear is like melody.
yeah,
And like I'm older, man. I'm tired, dude. Like I want to hear something that's pleasant. And sometimes you need a shot in the arm, dude. And that's what I got with this podcast, man.
yeah. No, I agree with you. But also, there's a reggae song on this album with this dude. I guess he's like a Rastafarian poet. He's on this record. And I'm pretty sure he's on Ungovernable Force too. I forgot his name. But there's a part. The song's called hold on. Cut the Crap.
Okay, I was gonna ask if that's the song you're talking about because I mean, I love it.
Reggae. I kind of enjoyed it.
Is that a tip of the cap to the Clash? You think?
No, I think they just did their own like weird reggae thing.
Well, with the name of the song being "Cut the Crap" and having the reggae thing, I thought maybe it'd be a little.
I see what you're saying.
Nod to the.
But even on an Ungovernable Force, they had a reggae song.
Yeah, a lot of punk bands did that shit, man. Just throughout the history of punk, reggae and punk are both rebellious music.
I agree.
Rebellion music. You know, they're both two.
But like they did it pretty cool. You know what I mean? And I think the songs are interesting musically. At times the slam poetry stuff was a little bit hard to listen to, but I mean overall, I mean they still have the lyrics and the venom and kind of the like fire and you know they're like saying something. They still got the message, you know. So
100%. All right, you've gotten me sidetracked now. Okay, so what we're gonna do now is we're gonna wrap this part up. So thank you guys for listening to us talk about. No, hold on. There's a reason. When I explain this, you'll understand why. I gotta have a place to stop the podcast anyways and have it a video. So I want to know what you guys think about Conflict. What do you think about these two albums specifically? How do you feel about that they joined together to make one big cohesive piece of artwork? I would give this like an A++, dude. I thoroughly enjoyed doing this, and I'm so glad I'm back on the Conflict train.